Again, good morning and welcome to Washburn University and the 2015 Hall of Fame ceremony. We are so proud to have this class to induct before you, and we are so proud to have you with us today here at Washburn University. We hope for those of you who are back for the first time in a while, you take some time to enjoy our beautiful campus. And a gentleman that is certainly at the heart of what has built into Washburn University is Dr. Jerry Farley, and we welcome him to the podium this morning to offer you the official university welcome.
Hello everyone, and officially welcome. We're delighted to have you here this morning. This is such a special occasion each year. It is so much fun to see people return to the campus, to see you interacting with one another and renewing your relationship and remembering things that occurred while you were here on campus. Universities are kind of unique places, and the opportunity for us to come together happens all the time, and we take advantage of that. We're delighted that you have such fond feelings for not only the people that you knew when you were here on campus, but for the campus itself. And the reason that occurs is because you build relationships. And while you were here at the university, you built relationships. And those continue for the rest of your life. It's a very special bond when you spend so much time with one another practicing, thinking about school, working, that when you do that, you create that relationship that lasts you for a lifetime. And it's a real pleasure for us that you let us into that world of yours for very short times. But we see what you did and how it affected you and how you have used that you learned here for the rest of your life. So we're delighted that you're here today. I hope this is an exciting time for everyone to remember those good times. You'll never remember any of the bad times, I'm certain, but to remember all those good things that happened while you were here. Congratulations to the recipients and to the three that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Very special to us, and I hope very special to all of you. Thanks for coming out today. Go Bods.
Thank you, Dr. Farley. Before we dismiss you for breakfast, we'll bow for a quick prayer. We will have the Hall of Famers and their families eat first, and then there are two serving lines in the back as we dismiss you, but we'll have the Hall of Famers and their families please go first in the line. Please bow your heads for the blessing. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to share three great Washburn Ichabods. Please bless them and their families and all gathered here. We ask you to remember our friend Steve Anson, who went before us today, but that we honor certainly with your blessings. Bless this food to our bodies. We do this all in your name. Amen. Again, Hall of Famers, you and your families, please take a moment to start the line. We do have two serving lines in the back, and we'll see you back here in just a few minutes. We will begin our Hall of Fame ceremony. So again, thank you for joining us here at the Memorial Union as we induct these three great Ichabods into our Hall of Fame. Our first Hall of Famer this morning is in the sport of volleyball. And I know Coach Chris Herron wished he had the opportunity to coach Jill Gassen. I remember when we got in the room to talk about the nominees, and he said nothing short of amazing things about Jill that he watched from the outside looking in. To present Jill Gassen this morning, we welcome up Lindsay Kirsting Douglas to introduce you to our Hall of Famer Jill Gassen.
Good morning, everyone. I am so thrilled today to get to introduce my friend Jill Gassen. Jill was a standout for Washburn, and I don't just mean volleyball. Jill was a 3-time academic all-district selection and 4-time academic all-MIAA selection. Her volleyball accolades include being the all-time Washburn point leader with 2,219 and kill leader with 1,732. She is one of 16 in the 1,000 kill club and one of 7 in the 1,000 kill 300 block club. Jill is also the school's all-time leader in solo blocks and second in block assists. She finished her career leading many of the performance categories and had a standout performance, earning her one of 3 triple doubles in school history. Now, while these stats are very impressive, similar to Popeye and spinach, Jill's secret to success was dry ramen noodles. Make note, if you want to be that successful, eat dry ramen noodles. Well, clearly Jill is an athletic standout. She can provide you a great reading list to broaden your perspective on a number of subjects and and debate you well into the evening on all of them. The great thing about our team, and so many of them are here today, and I'm so glad to see you, we were never just a team. We really were a family. Now that we have all moved on from Washburn, we continue to keep in touch and see each other whenever possible. Jill has been working to make the world a better place, enlisting in the Peace Corps and serving in Suriname, and returning to South America a short time later. I am so glad that she is back in the U.S. so she can be honored with this award, and so are all the ramen sellers out there. Jill is one of the most loyal people I know. She's a wonderful friend, citizen, volunteer, colleague, and teammate. Please help me welcome 3-time Washburn Volleyball MVP, Jill Gassen.
Well, I guess that about sums it up. Thank you very much, Lindsay. For those of you that don't know, Lindsay was the setter for our team, so she was directly involved in most of my stats. So hopefully she will be up here in her own right soon. She just needed to remember to jump lower. Inside joke, yeah, for the team. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for nominating me. It's truly an honor, and I greatly appreciate it. It was a huge surprise, and I was very honored when I first heard that I was going to be getting into the Hall of Fame. Gene contacted me a couple years ago to try to get in, but I was out of the country, so then he just started emailing me once a year saying, "Are you back in the country or not?" So finally I'm back, and I'm very happy to be here. Wanted to also thank my teammates. As Lindsay said, we're a very close-knit team still, and despite our win-loss record, I think we had a really good time. So that's all you can ask for, I suppose. Let's see. Oh, also I met my husband through playing volleyball, so we continue to play volleyball, and I'm happy to continue to have that as a lifelong sport. Wanted to thank the athletic department for giving me the chance to play and for paying for school. It helped me a ton, and it really enabled me to excel academically and use that as a base for what I continue to do now. Also wanted to thank Chris Herron and all of the volleyball teams that have come since. He really turned the program around, and it's really good to see that Washburn volleyball is a contender every year. So it's always great to see how well they're doing. That's basically all I have. Thank you very much. Thank all of you for being here. This is quite an honor, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the newest Washburn Hall of Famer, Jill Gassen. Our next candidate, I had the opportunity to see play in high school, but it was football and not basketball. It was one of the many Silver Lake championships, and on this day they crushed the Smoky Valley Vikings at Wichita State's Cessna Stadium. Shannon Kruger did nothing short of amazing things in high school and carried that on to his collegiate career here at Washburn. To present Shannon Kruger today, one of his former teammates and a good friend to the Washburn program, please welcome former Ichabod Matt Hundley to present our next candidate.
All right, good morning. First off, I'd like to congratulate Jill and her family and Coach Anson and his family for their awards today. Both great additions to the Washburn Athletics Hall of Fame. The next student athlete is Shannon Kruger. Shannon grew up in Silver Lake, Kansas, where he and his family reside today. The Kruger name has been very familiar in athletics, and especially in Silver Lake with his three uncles, Dave, Lon, and Jerry, and his father, Mike, all successful in their own ways. He grew up watching and playing sports, and with his family background strong in athletics, he took a liking to them at a young age. Well, his uncle Lon Kruger was a basketball coach at Kansas State. Shannon got to be around basketball quite a bit as the ball boy, and he took a liking to Steve Henson. Steve Henson became a role model for him because he had toughness, leadership, and was a winner. With hard work and discipline, Shannon knew that if he put this work in, he would be successful in his own ways. In high school, he was able to win 4 state championships, 1 in football and 3 in baseball. In football, he had a career record of 92 touchdown passes, which is amazing. Coach Chipman, Coach Dickerson, Coach McHenry all recruited Shannon in high school, knowing his toughness, his leadership abilities, and that he was a winner were all going to be important to Washburn basketball. If you know Coach Chipman, he loves players that bring toughness to his teams. I met Shannon for the first time in the summer of 1998 playing basketball. I had read about him numerous times in the Capital Journal and all his amazing accomplishments, but had never seen him play. It only took me a few games to figure out that, man, he was a stud. I remember him telling me how he used to go to the gym during football and baseball season and work out at 6 a.m., shoot many threes to work on his game to get better. With that type of dedication, he was sure to have a Hall of Fame career at Washburn. We became friends that summer and roommates for our years to come at Washburn, creating many memories on and off the floor. As workouts began, Coach Chipman could see Shannon's ability to lead any group that was on the court. He could step in, take control of any situation in a calm but meaningful way. Coach Chipman could sleep a little better at night knowing that he had Shannon, a so to speak coach, on the floor. His leadership showed all 4 years as he led our team in that special group in 2001, which we were the runner-up national champions. That special team had 13 players, a great coaching staff, and we had so much confidence, and we just knew we could win championships. We're just a few possessions away from that championship. Shannon defines a winner. Besides the fact that he set the all-time record of threes at 242, he had a career home record of 56-8 and an overall record of 92-30. That's pretty good, folks, in basketball. He would find ways to win games by willing his teams to victory. He would always be in the right place at the right time. He would get the ever-important loose ball, and he's always the one to hit the big shots. Shannon defines toughness. If you ask Shannon how many sprints he won in conditioning or practice, he'd probably tell you not very many. It didn't take me long to figure out the only 2 things I could beat him at were sprints and PlayStation. He would find ways to use his toughness to make up for his lack of size or quickness. I remember one scrimmage in practice, he dove on the floor to save a ball. Game point in a scrimmage, the guy shot the layup, Shannon broke his nose on the floor. Coach Chipman called practice at that time. It was such an amazing play. His toughness showed, and our team used it to be successful. All right. Coach Chipman loved tough players. He knew that players like this would make plays and it would win us championships. Shannon had a stress fracture, a broken nose, and a hip pointer, but still started 122 games and missed very few practices in 4 years. We spent time together as grad assistants for Coach Chipman our last year at Washburn. I remember many trips: Paris, France, Texas, Florida, California, but Las Vegas our last year was one of my favorites. After one of our tournament games, we spent the day and night checking out the great city of Las Vegas. I remember Shannon and I getting back to the hotel as the sun was coming up the next morning. I would love to tell the story of what we did that night, but what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Finally, I look at Shannon as a friend, a mentor, a leader, and I'm extremely proud to be giving this introduction speech. At this time, I'd like to welcome the next inductee to the Hall of Fame, Mr. Shannon Kruger.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks, Matt, for doing that. Just for the record, that whole Vegas story, just to make sure, we were grad assistants, okay? We're done playing, so just for the record. But man, what a good friend and roommate and teammate throughout my time here. Appreciate him being here with us. You know, it's an honor, it goes without saying, it's an honor to be a part of this group. But then when I saw the other two people that are going in this class, I mean, Coach Anson, everybody knows what he represented for this university and for a leader, and just as just a true Ichabod through and through. But for me, Coach Anson, every time I saw him, he had a smile on his face. He'd come up, he'd shake my hand, and ask how I was doing, and he really wanted to know. He really wanted to know that answer because he cared about people that much. So to be a part of the class with Coach Anson, what an honor. And then Jill Gassen. I remember Jill when I was here. She played when I was here, and I saw her name. I'm like, I remember Jill, but I had no idea she was that kind of player. And I mean that as a 100% compliment, because she was just a quiet, down-to-earth, just nice person. And to be a part of that class with these two, it's very, very humbling. You know, when Chip called me a few weeks ago and said, you know, I want you to be a part of our Hall of Fame, at first I was shocked, honored, appreciative, but then the next thing I thought was like, man, are you sure? Are you guys sure that I belong here? Because, you know, I never thought of myself as anything special as a player. And not when I was playing and not since, because I knew I was part of some special groups, but I just never thought that this day would be here. And as I let that sit in, that really tells you how special of a group we had. I mean, I was just so fortunate to be a part of it. You know, real quick, I want to introduce some of my family that's here. My wife, Tika, we met my junior year. Fast forward a couple weeks ago, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And we've got 3 kids, McKinley, she's 8, Camden, he's almost 6, and then Kipton's 4, so I'm glad they're all here today. My parents, a lot of other family members here. My grandma and grandpa are here, my mom's parents. They were a huge part of my upbringing. But I got to say something about Grandpa. He's sitting right over here. I loved talking to Grandpa Howard after a game, and he didn't miss very many games, but I would talk to him. First person I go talk to, because if we won, and if things went well that night, I mean, you could just see how proud he was, and how much he was having fun, and how much he was a part of it. But then if things were bad, if I played bad, or if we didn't win, he was definitely the first one I went to, because it was never my fault. I remember my freshman year, we're playing Pitt State at home. We're down 2, I've got the ball, I turn it over, we've got a foul, they make 2 free throws and seal it, and literally, I mean, I lost us the game. Grandpa didn't think so. He had 5 or 6 other scenarios about this and that should have happened, and so I just appreciate him being here and sharing this with us, and loved him being a part of everything. And just real quick, you know, I've got 3 friends here that, you know, they've been my best friends since I can remember, and I feel like they're family, they're brothers to me, but I'm just so glad that they're here to be a part of this with us too. Matt Free, Damon Thompson, Jason Ross, I mean, you want to talk about support and guys that you can count on through and through. We've been through it all, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just so glad they're here with us. And then real quick, a couple people that aren't here with us anymore that would love to be here. My dad's parents, Grandpa Don and Grandma Betty, just again, such a huge part of my upbringing and you know, part of our family. And I just remember Grandpa, such a sports guy, and he would talk, whenever I was around him as a kid, if we weren't playing sports, we were talking sports. And he used to, you know, to tell me all kinds of things, but he would talk about, you know, the importance of working hard and playing hard, and, you know, it's okay to win, it's okay to expect to win if you do things the right way, but he'd always say, but no matter what, you don't talk about yourself. You don't talk about how good you are, what you did. What he would say is, if you do things the right way, everybody else will talk about you for it. So again, I know they'd love to be here, but they're such a big part of my upbringing. And then real quick, a few of my high school coaches. Warren Bledsoe, he was my junior high basketball coach and then my offensive coordinator in football, and just learned so many things from Coach Bledsoe, and he's actually here today. I appreciate him coming. Alan Cunningham, AC, was my high school baseball coach, high school basketball coach, and just foundation. These guys are the foundation of, my time at Silver Lake and everything that they did. And then CJ Hamilton, just not only the leader of what I think is the best football program around, he's just the leader of our community and of our school, and I'm just so thankful I was a part of his teams. One of the really cool things about this is I've got to reconnect with some people that I haven't seen and heard from lately, and it happened earlier this week. Coach Dickerson, KD, called me, and we were talking, had a great chat, and he was congratulating me, and he said one thing that really stuck out. He said he was happy for me because he knew how hard I worked and how much work I put into it, and I just appreciated that because, as I thought about that, he's right. There was a lot of work that went into my time at Washburn. I wasn't ever the quickest, like Hundley said, and Coach he still gives me a hard time. I could never win a sprint. I could never jump high enough or run quick, but I learned something from my parents, Mike and Shelley, and it carried me. I relied on it every day, and it was just simply the ability to work just a little bit harder and maybe a little bit longer than most other people. So what I learned from them is you got to decide if something's important to you or not. And if it's important to you, then you commit to it. Well, what that means to Mike and Shelley is if you commit to it, then you pour your everything into it. And you work on it every single day. And what I think's cool is I'm sitting here telling you this is one of, if not the most important things I learned from my parents. And you know how many times I heard them say it or, sit us down as boys at home and preach it? They never did. They never once talked about it because they lived it. And they just led by example, and I learned it every single day. Look at it this way. As I was thinking about this, what were you doing when you were 18 or 19 years old? For me, it felt like a pretty big time in my life. Finishing up high school, trying to figure out what college to go to, on my own for the first time. Lot going on, a lot of transition, a lot of responsibility. Well, you know what they were doing when they were 18 and 19 years old? They were preparing for me to come into this world. And, first of all, I'm obviously thankful for the decision that they made, but I don't think they understand the impact and the lessons that they taught me. What they did is they said, this is something that's important, and we're going to commit to each other. We're going to commit to making a family and raising a family. And then they put all their individual dreams aside. Dad had just started his college baseball career, and who knows how far that would have went. But he put that aside and made a commitment to raise a family. And Mom had dreams of going to college and getting a degree, and who knows from there. But she put that aside because it was time for her to be a mom. And just so thankful for everything that they did. On top of that, they didn't just do it, they put everything they had into it. Dad worked 2 jobs. He'd go midnight to 8 as a dispatcher at the gas service, and he started his own painting company and would work 8 to 5, 80 hours a week, because this was important to him, and he was going to commit to it. And he did whatever it took to be the man of the house and raise a family. But what really blows me away is he didn't stop there. He wasn't going to let that take away from being a dad and a family man. So he would coach our baseball teams too. So he'd go midnight to 8, 8 to 5, 2 jobs, and go straight to the baseball diamond if it was practice or game. And I was so appreciative at the time, but there's not too many hours left in the day there. We can all do the math, right? The guy lived on 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night every single day because it was important to him. And I'm just so thankful. When I thought about this opportunity to use this platform to let them know how much I appreciate that, so thankful. But again, something that I leaned on every single day at Washburn, because it wasn't ever easy, but I learned and I knew how to work just a little bit harder. So a little bit about my time here at Washburn and the people. Again, I'm going to leave people out, and I feel bad because there's so many people that were a part of my Washburn career. you know, the coaches, what a special group of coaches. Coach McHenry I had for 2 years. He took over the women's program after my sophomore year, but I got him for 2 years. I learned a ton of basketball from Coach Mack. But the biggest thing I can remember is he would talk about, you know, we all have limitations, right? But as soon as you can understand what those limitations are and then focus on what you're good at, you got a chance to be a player. And if you can do it as a group, you've got a chance to have some really good teams. And always appreciate Coach for that. And then KD, Kerry Dickerson. For me, Kerry at first, he was just a good cop, right? So good cop, bad cop. Coach Chip was definitely the bad cop. And, you know, things were tough. Kerry was always there to tell you it's not that bad. There's a reason he's doing this. There's a reason he's saying this. Just keep grinding away. It'll all work out. And but we developed such a cool relationship over the next few years, so I really appreciate KD. And then Chip, I mean, where do you start with Coach Chip? One thing I remember when I was playing, that's when Coach lost his college coach, Coach Hartman, when I was playing here. And, you know, I remember him saying that he didn't truly appreciate what Coach Hartman did until several years after he was out of the program. And it was kind of odd to me at the time, but as I look back, that's definitely what I think about Coach. I mean, I never really appreciated what he did and how he did until several years later. I mean, the respect and that was always there, but I never really appreciated, you know, what Coach did and how he did it. And there's so many things I could talk about, but one just quick story to kind of try to paint this picture. So let me take you back to my first practice ever at Washburn as a freshman year. Had been through preseason, you know, workouts, conditioning, played pickup games, was starting to get my feet under me a little bit, but nothing can prepare you for a practice with Coach. So I'm in practice, and the drill is simply, it's just half court, man to man, 5-on-5. We're on offense going against the defense, okay? And all I have to do as a guard is just to get the offense started. So all I gotta do is make a pass over here to the wing, all right, to start the offense, or if he's not open, I can just go to my other guard with a quick pass, and he can start it over there. Sounds pretty simple, right? Well, one thing I got going against me is Sam Willis is guarding me. So Sam's a one-year guy, comes in as a senior, played a bunch of college basketball. It's my first practice. Sam's got me by about 4 inches this way. Feels like about 4 feet this way. I mean, the dude had some long arms. And so I can't just simply make a pass, right? Well then, what I didn't know at the time was my biggest challenge was, if for those of you that haven't been to a practice with Coach, what he allowed the defense to get away with in practice, I mean, it's not defense, it's not even basketball. But I didn't know it at the time, so I'm getting ready to start the offense, right? So Sam's guarding me like this, so I gotta make a dribble, create some space, shorten the pass. I go to make that pass, and Sam trips me. I mean, literally sticks his leg out and trips me. I fall to the ground. The whistle blows, I'm thinking, all right, foul on Sam. No. Chip's like, come on. Stay on your feet, quit falling down. What are you doing? You gotta be stronger than that. You can't even start an offense. What are you doing? I'm thinking, I'm thinking this, okay? I'm not saying anything, because one thing Dad definitely taught me was Coach is always right. You're the player, he's the coach. You know, no matter what, Coach is always right. So I'm definitely not saying anything, but I'm thinking, man, what's going on here? All right, maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was looking down at the postman or something, didn't really see what happened. So let's do it again. So now this time, I'm going to try to go guard to guard, because that didn't work. So I'm just going to make a pass over here to my other guard. As I go to do it, I go to pass, and Sam takes his big old long arms and whacks. He's trying to hack down at the ball, but he gets me somewhere between the elbow and the bicep. I mean, just whacks me, I mean, completely fouls me. The ball kind of falls there. Sam picks it up, whistle blows. I'm thinking, all right, foul on Sam. Come on, you got to be stronger than that. Don't let him take it from you. Just going to let him take it from you? Come on, you can't even start an offense. What are you doing? And so now I'm like, what is going on? Well, what was going on is something that I didn't understand at the time. But first of all, Coach was like, you better figure it out. And those 3 words, what we did as players and as a team is we figured out how to get it done in practice. But the real genius of this is, what do you think happened when we got into a game and the other team's playing pressure defense on us? It didn't bother us, not one bit, because Coach, what he allowed the defense to do in practice, we were ready to roll. It was never a problem. So there's so many other things I could talk about Coach, but he was always, it was win first, figure the rest out later, and make sure that he always had us prepared. So I just appreciate my time with Coach. And there's so many teammates that I'm going to leave out, but I got to mention a few. My freshman year, obviously tough year. We got all this going on in practice, and Coach is telling us how bad things are. But Mark Kruger was a senior, David Byers was a junior. Those guys really played the big brother role for me. I mean, they took me under their wing, and really showed me the ropes, and just always appreciative for those guys. And then Hundley, we already talked about him a little bit, but more than anything, just what a good friend. He had a way of knowing. He mentioned the PlayStation, that's funny. He had a way of knowing, what I needed, or what, after a tough practice, tough game, sometimes let's talk about it, and let's talk about how it's not that bad. And sometimes it's like, let's just forget about it, right? And let's just play PlayStation. He whooped my butt every time. But just really appreciate what a friend he was. So many great memories with guys like Ryan Murphy, Ryan Tomlins, J.P. Meitner, Eric Carter. Such a good group of guys. Melvin Ware, the most unselfish guy I've maybe ever met. I'm not big on stats, but one thing I'm pretty proud of is I was able to start, like Matt and Bruce both said, every game but one. And that one game I didn't get to start was Mel's senior year, and I wouldn't have thought wouldn't have had it any other way than to let Mel start. BJ Ross, great player, great friend, but honestly, the reason that we're standing here today is because of Ewan O'Geese. And I mean, we can talk about the obvious things, like how many games he won us. Statistically, I mean, how easy of an assist was it to throw it in, let Ewan turn around and dunk it. My guy's running down and double. Ewan will kick it back. I was able to jack up a bunch of threes. Well, I wouldn't have been able to without Ewan. So just appreciate that. That team, my junior year, Ewan, those guys, his senior year, we were so close. We were so tight. There's no way I'm leaving here without mentioning all 13 of those names, because that was a special, special group. So Ewan O'Geese, BJ Ross, Randolph Williams, Eric Carter, Ryan Murphy, Ryan Tomlins, Melvin Ware, J.P. Meitner, DJ Walker, Troy Douglas, Matt Hundley, and Matt Tinsley. It was truly a special group that so many good memories. But in closing, Chip told me something that when my career was over that I'll never forget, and I just truly appreciate. He said something to the effect of how much he appreciated how I brought it every single day, and he'd never had to worry about what kind of effort was going to come. And that meant a lot, because just like my parents taught me, that this playing for this university and for this program and for Coach, it was important to me, and I did. I tried to give it everything I could every single day, and I'm just so thankful to be a part of it. So I appreciate everybody being here, and I appreciate Washburn University and my time here. So thank you.
Please welcome the newest Washburn Hall of Famer, Shannon Kruger. Our final Hall of Famer, unfortunately, is not with us. We got the opportunity to be at Valley Field on June 30th and really just celebrate who Steve Anson was. And I look in the back of the room here and I see two things. I see a cowboy hat and I see a baseball hat. And that's Steve Anson. I mean, Steve Anson, he could rock a cowboy hat like nobody else. And certainly baseball was his passion and baseball was his life. Shannon said it. When Steve Anson asked you, how you doing? It wasn't a passing comment. It was, how are you doing? He truly meant it. He truly wanted to know how you, the individual, were doing. He wanted to lift you up. And over 500 Washburn student athletes got lifted up every day because of Steve Anson. Because he cared more about you as the individual than he did about what you accomplished on the baseball field. He coached in 1,645 games. But I guarantee you, it's the young men that he produced, not the wins that he produced, that meant the most to him. To honor him today is one of his former players, and a young man charged to try and fill the shoes or boots of Steve Anson. Please welcome Harley Douglas as we induct Coach Steve Anson into the Washburn Hall of Fame.
Thanks, Bruce. Congratulations, Jill, for a terrific career. You were a phenomenal player here at Washburn, so I got a chance to see you play quite a bit, and I learned a lot about volleyball, so thank you for that. I didn't know a lot before then. So Shannon, congrats, man. It was a lot of fun watching you guys play, and you were a guy that brought that toughness to that team, and that was a special thing. And we got a chance to hang out a lot with the basketball and baseball. We shared the same locker room, so that was we got a chance to be around you guys quite a bit. So it was an honor to watch you guys play and go along with you guys as you made your run at the national championship. So thanks, congrats. First off, I'd like to say thanks to Dina for asking me to accept this incredible award on behalf of Coach Anson. You know, you shared your life with one of the most remarkable and influential people I've ever met in my life. So thank you. It's an honor to accept this award for such a tremendous man, a mentor, coach, and friend. I'd like to thank the current members of the baseball team for being in attendance today. You know, we've been through a lot together, and you guys have been so strong and resilient, so thank you for that. That's a true attribute to Coach Anson and the type of leader and coach he really was. I promised myself I wouldn't try to break down, so if I look down at this, it's because I'm trying to not look at my guys or people that I know Coach Anson through and stories that he had. You know, some of you might not know, but Coach Anson's grandson, Zach, is a freshman on our team this year. I'd like to thank Zach and his other grandson, Seth, for always putting a smile on his face and giving him a good story to tell. I know you guys don't know this, but you guys were the apple of his eye, and he loved spending any extra time he had with you guys, so I appreciate that. Coach was really looking forward to Zach being on the team this year, so I wish, I know he'll be there and watching us, but you know, I wish he had the opportunity to coach. As Bruce said, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Harley Douglas. I took over as the interim head coach after Coach Anson's accident, and have since been named the head coach at Washburn University. I can't express enough how blessed I am to have the opportunity to take over a program that, you know, that he made his mark on for the past 35 years. I know Coach Anson, I've known him for the past 18 years, and it was an honor to play for him and have the opportunity to coach with him. For the past 3 seasons, I learned more about his philosophies and beliefs than I ever thought I would. You know, it was a true thing, as Shannon said. You don't respect the man that you had as your coach until you're done, until you know what he stood for. And you know, that's hard to believe because he's not here, and I can't express that now. He was a man that exhibited honesty and integrity every step he took. The respect he had when he stepped off the bus from the opposing coaches was just amazing. They would honestly be waiting for him to get off the bus and him to come to batting practice, and they'd walk over and just want to pick his brain. It wasn't just one coach. It wasn't, you know, Coach Fernelli, or it wasn't Coach Beaver. I mean, it was every coach at every school. I mean, it was one of those deals where you didn't expect to see Coach for about 30 minutes because he was pretty winded sometimes, and he would tell some stories that, you know, but he was always a scheduled guy, so you knew where you were supposed to be. You know, the integrity that he brought to Washburn baseball was phenomenal. He was such a humble man and would never admit it, but I think the respect that the other coaches had in this conference is something that was very important to him. And, that was true by so many coaches that showed up, June 30th. That's the man he was. He would always tell me that a man's legacy was not set by the kind of coach he was, but by the man that he was and the values he stood before and stood about each and every day. I remember the first time I met Coach Anson on a recruiting trip to Washburn. This was after he traveled down to my small town in southeast Kansas in 1996. Now that I've become a coach, we've debated about this a million times, and I'm pretty sure he wore a bright pink brush popper to the game. But
I think he did.
He swears that it did not have pink in it. But you can imagine. I'm from a small town that was a country town, but a guy that shows up in a cowboy hat and boots, they didn't really think he was a baseball coach. So I think they just thought maybe he was an oil guy or something in town, wanting to see some. So that was a little different. I wasn't expecting that. But anyway, I walk into his office just as millions of recruits had in the past, and I got a chance to shake hands with the man that I would eventually fear for the next 3+ years. If you've ever shaken hands with Coach Anson, he's got enormous forearms and hands. And the going joke that always goes about with all the former players and alumni is it was almost like he would tickle your elbow when he shook your hand. And, we always had a funny joke to tell about it, and he was always so proud about how big his hands were. After the intimidating handshake, I sat down and we discussed what Washburn had and the atmosphere that it was going to produce and the experience I could expect as a player and a student. And I mean, it was just from the start his passion about Washburn and the opportunities that the university created for student athletes was just so important to him, and it was very apparent that day. And needless to say, I mean, he sold me on the program, and I played here for the next 4 years. The competitive drive about him and the desire for his players to succeed on and off the field was second to none. One of the things I miss most about him is the passion he had when he would talk about the college experience with the recruits that we would bring onto campus in the last 3 years. He would talk to parents, and he just really wanted to know the whole individual and the whole family structure of what he was going to be having for the next 4 years. He had a mode of delivery that would captivate the room. If he was here today, everybody would be cutting up and laughing, and he just had that. He brought that mode of delivery that just brought a sense of respect to Washburn University. He truly was the face of Washburn baseball for us. Some of you might know this, and I know Dina does, but Coach Anson and I butted heads with each other in the beginning. I see some familiar faces that could probably vouch for that for sure. I know Chris Jones could. I'm sure Chris was about as close to wanting to do the same to me as Coach did. I said I was a small town kid, I had a fiery attitude, I was an animated competitor, so I would show my backside quite often. And most of you that know Coach Anson, that doesn't fly. You're going after his mentality and his values and beliefs at that point. I remember the first time I wasn't as fortunate as Shannon to have a father that told me not to question the coach. So you can all see where this is going. I questioned the strike 3 call in an inter squad my freshman year, one of the first ones we had, and he was standing behind the pitcher's mound, and he was calling strikes and balls, and it was a borderline pitch. I'm pretty sure it's probably down the middle, but I made a comment, and as I was walking back to the dugout, and as I'm headed back to the dugout, I hear somebody yell, "Time!" And I'm kind of like, uh-oh, and I turn around and I look, and he's jogging towards me. And like I said, keep in mind, I was fearing this guy at this point. The way he threw weights around in the weight room, and the forearm curls and the hands, and I would walk into the weight room and he was on the Aerodyne bike, and it was like a hurricane trying to get to him because it was so much force of wind coming at you. So I was fearful of this guy, and I don't know to this day why I said anything. And I said something, and he came over to the dugout, and I honestly think if he could have choked me that day, he would have. You know, it was the old saying of driving a person to drink. I'm sure I did that to him quite often, especially early on. But the values and the beliefs that he taught me, you know, that was Coach Anson. That was something that he taught everybody that was in the program. You know, he stood for strong values, and making a fool of yourself wasn't one of them. And he believed that each player in his program was an indicator of his values and beliefs. So he would stop at nothing to let the players understand exactly what he expected of them. He would always talk to us about what it would take to be a successful adult in society, and off the field was very important to him. And he would do what he could to take care of us and help us be successful. Throughout the years, I had the privilege of being part of about 20% of Coach's 800-plus wins. That makes me feel kind of old, but you know, I played here for 4 years. I was a program guy. I was a grad assist for 2 years, and then I came back and have been his assistant for 3+ now. Coach was set up here today and tell you, you know, exactly what I want to try to tell you today, is that it was never about wins and losses with him. It was more about getting better each day and competing at a higher level each day, and being able to do that over and over and over, and not just, you know, if we started out early, and I remember my junior or senior year, I think we were 6 and 7, and he never hit the panic switch, because that was just who he was, because he wanted us to get better the next day. You know, another true indicator of that was you know, a story of and some of you might have heard, he won his 500th win, and we thought it was his 500th win for sure, but it was really his 499th. And so, you know, we were excited. We grabbed the bucket. We ran over to him. He was talking to a reporter. He just finished up, and we dumped the water on him. And he turned around with a look that just said it all. And of course, everybody that would have been, you know, there was 5 or 6 of us there, but he just looked right at me. And he said, "H, can you even count?" You know? And he's adjusting his glasses. He said, how in the world did you make 2 all MIAA academic teams and you can't count? You and your boys are one off. Figure it out. And he adjusted his glasses. And so, you know, that's just one of those things that, you know, he made you feel 2 inches tall, but he was there to pat you on the butt when it was ready to go. And that speech at the end of the day that he talked to us about, he told us, he said, you know, now you got to put your money where your mouth is. You guys ran your mouth, you guys showed your actions, and you were wrong. You know, we weren't there. And I think the only reason he knew that we were at 500 is because the reporter wanted to talk to him, and he never kept track of those. But I think I remember him telling telling Ernie Webb with the Washburn Review that day that he was pretty sure he needed to start recruiting smarter players. So that made us feel good. But like I said, he talked to us that day and said, you know, the next day you have to be better now. You have to go out and win. You can't look like fools and end the series and set for a week and know you're not going to play again until Friday, because now we're going to set on that stupidity you guys exhibited. And, you know, so that was just Coach. He found a way to make us strive each day to be better. And, you know, whether it was putting pressure on us or finding a way to track our successes or failures, he was always, you know, he was always on us. He did the same in the classroom. You know, he expected us to have good grades and attend classes. And every professor knew him, so it wasn't like they wouldn't talk to him. So, you know, the attendance was a big deal, and he expected us to utilize our scholarship for education, not just sports. You know, Coach lived his life to the fullest each and every day. He was always the first one to work and one of the last ones to leave. I didn't know this when I accepted the assistant job that he offered, because I wasn't used to the 6 a.m., let's get to the ballpark and work on the field type stuff. That was a little difficult to figure out, but he would always find so many things to do at the baseball field. And if any of you guys have been around there in the last 6 or 7 years, it's turf. I mean, what could we possibly do down there? But he found things for us to do. And, we would be down there fixing things I didn't even know existed. And, he was always staying busy and was always 4 steps ahead of everybody else. He always, he always had a plan, and he always kept things in check and rarely missed an occasion or an assignment or a duty that he knew he needed to be at. And I've never met somebody with a memory like his. I mean, that guy had a lockbox. And he could, 20 years down the road, he would run into a player that he hadn't seen at an alumni event, and he would know their wife's name, their kids' names, maybe their pets' names, phone numbers. He was an unbelievable guy with phone numbers. I mean, he remembered my number from college days that I didn't even remember. He just had a way of just making you feel special. And, I had the opportunity, to be around him and experience those for quite a while. He coached over 500 or 1,500, 1,600 games, and he could tell you certain plays that happened 20 years ago in the most minute game. It was a conference game that really didn't mean anything, or a non-conference game that about a trip to Doane or a trip to Peru State, and he just knew just things that that was one of my favorite times with him was we'd go on the road and we'd be in the hotel rooms because everybody makes jokes about baseball and you got to be out there for 42 hours of the day and you got to hit and you got to throw the ball and you got to do in and outs and you got to play the game then finally, and then you got to talk for 30 minutes, and they just drag on and on and on. But we still had some downtime in the hotels, and we'd play one game, new structures, one game on Friday, 2 Saturday. So we'd play one game like at 3, and then we would sit in the hotel from 6 to lights out, and then, so you had a lot of downtime. And, he always had such great stories about his playing days and just things in games that he coached and what he brought to it. He was so witty and so animated with some of his stories, and you just truly, you don't realize that until later on, and you start to cherish that opportunity. And he cherished all of his memories. He did. This guy, it was like every memory he had, he put a certain tag on it and cherished everything about it. And one of my last true memories of his wittiness was during our summer tournaments we hosted on campus in the summer. We started them about 2 years ago, and they start Thursday night about 5 o'clock and go to Sunday about 10. And so we're there for 45, 50 hours, and for a guy of his age, we did the first year, we did 5, and he was done. We cut it to 3 last year. So, but it's the dog days of summer. I mean, we're in there and we're up in the press box, and we called it the sweat box because no AC and it's June and it's just baking in there. And we're sitting up there and we were talking about so many different things. And I think there was a couple of the current players there, and we were talking about walk-up songs. And he hated walk-up songs, and those of you who don't know what walk-up songs are, it's a song that plays from the guy standing in the on-deck circle and he walks up to the plate. And they're not necessary, but the kids love them. I mean, I think Connor Crimmins, one of his current players, wrote a paper over it in his coaching baseball and softball class, trying to convince him to let us have them. So our guys would love them, but it's not happening. So let's not push it. But we were sitting there talking, and it was one of those deals where we were talking and we were discussing back and forth, and one of the players said, "Coach, what would be your walk-up song?" And he just looked at him and he was like, "Well, first, with this terrible eyesight I got, I've never stepped into that batter's box. But if I needed one, it would be Toby Keith's. I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was." And that was Coach. That was his wittiness. That was him. That was, he thought that quickly and came up with it, and he's like, I'm not for sure he probably didn't think about it before, and he would never admit it to us but I think that song played from him walking from the dugout to the coach's box every time, or maybe to the start, to go out to home plate for the coach's meeting. So, Coach was a great man. He really was. I didn't realize what he brought to me and how he formed me and many other players and the current players and former players and alumni. I didn't realize, just how strong it was until that Monday. You would get your occasional alumni type events and we'd see the same 80, 90 guys, maybe occasional. We'd have a couple new faces pop in and out, but you never really noticed the support and the fraternity that we had of 500 plus guys that played for him until that Monday when we had 1,500 people out there and you got a chance just to see how well respected and loved he was in this community. And that's special, and the opportunity to be able to know a guy like that was second to none. So in conclusion, I would like to thank Dina again from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity. Thank you. Washburn was Coach Anson's home, and Washburn's in a better place today because of the dedications and efforts he had the past 35 years. He truly would have been humbled by this award. I think we might have even seen him shed a tear or two. I only wish that I could have seen Coach Anson up here and had the chance to put that suit and tie with those cowboy boots on one more time. So thank you. I appreciate it. From the bottom of my heart, it was an honor. Thank you. Appreciate it to everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Anson as she accepts this award on behalf of Washburn Hall of Famer Steve Anson. That does conclude our Hall of Fame ceremony, and again, I think we're better for having known all three of these individuals and getting the opportunity to induct them into the proud tradition that is the Washburn Hall of Fame. I see some of the 19 buttons. I have that every day in my car. I see it, I put it on my visor, and again, it reminds me of ask somebody how they are and really mean it. So we thank you so much for being a part of the Washburn history. And obviously we're going to play a football game today, and we will honor our three Hall of Famers at the halftime and celebrate them one more time here at Washburn University. Welcome back to those of you who are Washburn alums. We thank you for being a part of the proud tradition that is in the oncoming 150 years of this great institution. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.